Hey, everybody. Hello. So, welcome to another episode of Cindy Uncorked, or is it Cindy Uncorked today? We've kind of blending my two brands. I am the CEO of Speaker Start and Booking speakers that we promote as a speaker, as well as it's a Cindy Uncorked topic because today we're going to talk about angry people and how to deal with bullies and how to deal with angry people. And let me tell you a little bit about Doug, and then he'll officially say hi. So Doug really is this person who's like this high level, a multi-award winning trial lawyer, in the courtroom, kicking butt, doing all these things. And then he'll tell you a little bit more of the story, but then he ended up turning into a peacemaker. And so he was already a great negotiator, great mediator, but then he would have his prison project that we're going to talk about, where he would literally go into prisons and work with like prison mates with their anger issues and creating peace in prisons. It's kind of awesome. So today we are going to talk all about dealing with angry people, dealing with bullies, whether they're in the workplace or at home or somewhere else. So Doug, hello.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
You look great. Very sexy tonight.
I like doing sexy.
Yeah.
I'm loving that you got like your whole stage thing happening in the background. It's fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about how to stop angry people and deal with bullies. But before we go there, here you are, this person who is this very, very, very highly successful trial lawyer, litigator, mediator, negotiator extraordinaire. And then you leave it all to do peace projects. So tell us a little bit about your prison peace projects, what brought you into this, and then we're going to go into angry people, how to deal with them.
Okay, so I was a trial lawyer for 22 years, and then I got into the martial arts and eventually got my second degree black belt, exactly. And when I got my teacher awarded me my second degree in a northern Chinese kung fu style, he called me into his office a couple of weeks after, and he said, "I'm not teaching you anymore. You're an arrogant asshole and you're going to hurt somebody.
I love that.
You're a trial lawyer. You take no prisoners. No more from me. Go master Tai Chi, then come back."
Wow.
Well,
awesome.
I didn't know it at the time, but that was a death sentence because you never master Tai Chi. There's no such thing as mastery in Tai Chi. So I started studying Tai Chi, and Tai Chi has two paradoxes. The first is the softer you are, the stronger you are. The more vulnerable you are, the more powerful you are. Soft to be strong, vulnerable to be powerful. Did not compute. I didn't get it. But my first lesson was a lesson in humility. My teacher was an old Asian man, elderly Asian man. Probably I outweighed him probably 2-1. He kicked my butt. And he was just throwing me around the mat. He wasn't touching me too. That's the thing that was really crazy, was he's using chi, energy. And I eventually learned the truth of these paradoxes. So one day I was in a courtroom trying a case, and the thought came to me, what the hell am I doing here? So after that trial, I had a vacation, and during the vacation, I thought a lot about what I'd done as a trial lawyer. And I said, I'm not serving humanity doing this. I've got to find something different.
Wow.
So I live in Central California near Yosemite, and I was coming down out of the mountains to my office where I was a senior partner in a major firm. And I heard the one and only public service announcement for a new master's degree in peacemaking and conflict studies.
Wow.
And it caught my attention at Fresno Pacific University, the West Coast Mennonite University. And so to make a long story short, I enrolled, and I got my master's degree in peacemaking and conflict studies in the late 1990s and early 2000s.
Amazing.
In 2000, after many, many discussions with my partners, I decided to leave the law firm. And I left with 1 week's notice. I did everything I told my clients not to do. No business plan, no financial planning, none of that stuff. I literally walked away from $10 million and that I'd left on the table. And I started my own mediation and peacemaking practice in 2000. In 2009, I got a call from a colleague of mine down in Los Angeles, Laurel Coffer, who read me a letter that she'd received from a woman serving a life sentence without possibility of parole at the largest, most violent women's prison in the world. And this woman,
The
Susan
largest,
Russo,
most violent, is that what you said?
prison. Yep, largest, most at that time it was the largest, most violent prison, women's prison in the world in Chowchilla,
Wow.
California.
Those are like tough women. Don't put me there. I'd be singing to
Oh
them.
yeah. Anyways, her letter asked if we would come in and teach the lifers how to become mediators and peacemakers because they were tired of the violence, and we said yes. And so that's how the Prison of Peace project started in April of 2010. And now we are active in 11 California prisons, 4 prisons in Greece. And we're starting in Connecticut later this year and we're going to be doing some empirical studies on the work that we do. And we've certified over 1,000 inmates in California as circle keepers, peacemakers, and mediators.
That's amazing. I mean, to me, that's true rehabilitation.
It's amazing. It's incredible what happens to these people. I mean, yesterday we were teaching at Wasco State Prison, a room full of 30 guys in the intermediate level of our training. And you could just see the transformation occurring before your very eyes as you gave them this information and had them practicing these skills. It's phenomenal. It's what I live for. So
let's talk about practicing these skills because there's a lot of angry people. And so let's start with the workplace because everybody works, whether they're an entrepreneur, because even if you're self-employed, I mean, we know in the workplace, there's a lot of anger and a lot of drama in the workplace, but even as an entrepreneur, I mean, I've certainly seen, entrepreneurs get bullied and I find some kind of bug. Sorry. I find that I should be peaceful with it. Tai Chi. So I've certainly found that even as an entrepreneur, sometimes major anger or major hate comes my way as well. I actually get that a lot, which is a whole other story. I handle it well, but let's talk about that.
Sure. So there are a couple of things to understand about, especially in the workplace. If we don't learn the right skills, we become victims of our own childhood programming.
Right.
We were taught to be nice. We were taught to say nice things to other people. We were taught to never interrupt. We were taught to work hard. We were taught to obey our betters. We were taught to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, the golden rule. And those are great rules for children, but they totally don't work in the face of angry, verbally aggressive, or arrogant people in the workplace.
Right.
Those people will take advantage of all of your childhood programming that has not changed and completely slap you down. And you have no response because you don't have any programming. So the first thing that you have to learn how to do is develop your own social power. And this is because I'm a martial artist, I kind of put it into this metaphor. You have to develop the mindset of a black belt. And there are about 15 or 16 or 20 different skills you have to learn to build your social power and your social status so that when somebody, even a superior, becomes angry or aggressive with you, you stand in your power, you don't back down, you never get emotional, you never get reactive, you never get insubordinate or angry back, but you hold yourself in such a way with your tone of voice, your eye contact, your body language, and how you say things so that this person knows you are not somebody to mess with, even if you're an inferior in the hierarchy. That's the first thing. Develop those skills. The second thing is to recognize that you can never, ever, ever deal with anger or verbal aggression or arrogance with rationality. You cannot do it.
Right.
They are not rational when people in the workplace or in a professional setting are being angry or verbally aggressive or arrogant. In that moment, they are not being rational. Every time you try to explain, justify, try to solve a problem, you lose your power.
Yep.
So you cannot be rational with these people.
Right. So I bet people are going, okay, you're telling me to stand my ground, but I can't rationalize with them. So
that's right.
We'll
get there. We got to do all the things that people do right now.
Okay. All right.
Let's get through the list, and then we can come back to say, well, then what do I do?
It's all very exciting.
That's right. So understand that as human beings, we are 98% emotional and 2% rational. And people who are angry, arrogant, verbally aggressive have a very small playbook. they only have one thing they can do.
Right.
And once you start recognizing the patterns, you have counter responses that completely deflate what they're trying to do. So the fundamental skill, the foundational skill of all life, and if you want to change your life, practice this skill, is called affect labeling. And it is very simple to describe. It is a little bit trickier to put into practice. But here's the deal. We are deeply emotional beings before we can't even be rational without being emotional first. So when you're confronted with somebody who's angry or aggressive or arrogant, the first thing you have to do is respond to them at their emotional level.
Right.
And the way you're going to do that is that you're going to ignore their angry words. You don't even need to pay. Not only do you not need to pay attention to their words, you cannot pay attention to their words, because if you pay attention to their words, you're going to get triggered, and you have to free up enough bandwidth to do the other two steps. So you've got to ignore those angry words. The second step is to read the emotional data field. We all have emotional data fields. Our emotions are coming up and are being communicated by us in intensity and duration and quality all the time, every second. And we are hardwired as human beings to read those emotional data fields.
So are you talking about read your own or read other people?
No, read the other person, the person who's angry.
Okay.
You don't need, okay? You're going to read, if you're being arrogant or angry with me, I'm going to read your emotional data field. Now, how do you do this? It's really simple. Just be silent. Take a deep breath if you have to, and just have just a gentle smile on your face, and just listen for the emotions, not for the words. And then guess at what you think the other person might be feeling. And guess what? It's going to be anger. Then it's going to be a feeling of disrespect. Then it's going to be a feeling of maybe not being supported. It's going to be a feeling of anxiety and fear. There might be a little sadness and grief. There might be some shame and humiliation. But at the end of the day, every single one of these persons is feeling abandoned and unloved. Now, how deep you go with that is going to depend upon the circumstance. I have taken gangbangers who are serving life sentences without possibility of parole, all tatted up, and I have them sobbing in 90 seconds. Because I can go right to their core, because I know how to read their emotional data fields. Now, in a work or professional setting, that probably wouldn't be appropriate. However, what you're going to do is you're going to read those emotions, and whatever presents itself most obviously, you are going to reflect back with a very simple you statement. Cindy, you're really angry. You're really disrespected. Nobody's supporting you. Nobody's listening to you. You feel like you're the only competent person around here. You're not being recognized for that. And you're a little anxious because your performance review is coming up, and if the rest of us don't perform, you're going to look bad. And so that's really got you frightened. And you don't know what to do.
Brilliant. So this seems like a lot, because I've actually just finished reading Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication book.
Yeah, I don't think highly of that.
You don't? Isn't that interesting?
I
okay.
do not.
Can we talk
I'll explain why. I'll explain why.
Why? Because I'm like, this is brilliant. And just because now, when I said earlier, I have a lot of anger and hate thrown at me.
Right.
It's not, my clients and I get along great. Everything's always good with my clients. And if something's not good, we just talk it over and we're fine. But it's not that. But, like, for example, when I did one of my episodes on my TV show was about trauma that sits in women's vaginas, and I got a death threat and a bunch of hate coming at me. When I speak out about the speaking world and how concerned I am about certain things and I have a lot of hate thrown at me from the public, not my clients. My clients are like, yeah, she's a bomb. She is speaking truth. Right. But I have a lot of people saying, oh, you're just being a bitch. You're being this and that. And I just tend to let it go. But sometimes it's like, so I started reading this book because sometimes, I can feel that anger coming to me if I'm at a networking. Like, I was talking to somebody once and I said, yeah, like, I do the next level of speaking training. I'm the person that people come to once they're really good and I bring them to excellence, so, and somebody from Toastmasters was really just ripped me apart, or tried to, because he was so, well, I wouldn't need to go to you. And I wasn't even pitching him. I was just talking to a group of people. And he was like, well, Toastmasters can take you to all the way. And I said, well, it can't really. And these are the reasons why. Toastmasters is, have you looked at the history? Toastmasters is excellent in these reasons, but it's not actually designed for professional speaking. Anyways, so when I talk about the differences, I have people, especially Toastmasters, reaming me out. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, I'm not even talking to you.
Right.
But I understand, because they're so defending it. And I'm like,
so she's feeling, so I would turn to her and I said, oh, you're feeling really anxious about Toastmasters, and you're feeling a little bit fearful, and you're angry that somebody has a different perspective.
That's good. I'm using that. Thank you.
Okay, so here's the difference between, this is why I don't like Marshall Rosenberg and nonviolent communication.
Yeah, I'm dying to hear this, because I've been like reading and trying to like use this in what I'm doing. Okay, go ahead.
Number one, none of his work is based on science.
Oh, that's good. And you know how much I love science. I have a science degree.
Right. There is nothing I don't teach that isn't based on hard neuroscience.
Oh, interesting.
And none of his stuff is based on science. The second thing that it is, his techniques are all I focused. And when you're listening to another person, you have to be you focused. That's what the science shows us.
Okay.
That's why his stuff doesn't work. And it never has worked. And it never will work.
So interesting, because, I had somebody the other day who was like, I don't understand why you turned me down as a speaker for your agency. I've been speaking for years. And, why aren't I ever enough for you? And I was like, whoa. And it's like, and this is somebody who really has been, working as a speaker for 20 years, but never really paid it. She doesn't understand why. And it's because she's terrible as a speaker. And,
right.
and I never said that to her, but I just said, I'm really impressed with your improvement. I'm really impressed with your expertise. Like I tried to, but I said, for us to represent you, I would love to see you work on these skills. She's like, why aren't I good enough for you? You're so judgmental. Da, da, da. I was like, whoa. And it was interesting, because I was trying to do the nonviolent communication and it wasn't working. And I just said, I can hear that you're feeling really frustrated and angry because you've been doing this for 20 years and you haven't gotten more than $500 for pay. And I would feel the same way. So I really honor that. And she started to calm down.
But the science shows that doesn't work. So the way we teach this, the way I teach this is that when you are listening to somebody, the speaker, you want to stay on the speaker's track. The moment you use the word I, you're taking the train off the speaker's track and you're putting it over onto your track. And what the brain science shows, as you completely disrupt the process that you're trying to achieve between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, and actually the vagal nerve, that when you start using an I statement, people all of a sudden become defensive and reactive, because you re-trigger the amygdala. As long as you use a you statement, you are literally lending your prefrontal cortex to the speaker, so the speaker can process his or her emotional experience, and they calm down almost instantly. This is all based on a 2007 study by a social neuroscientist, Matthew Lieberman at UCLA.
Oh, interesting.
And he showed why this works and why nothing else works. Because the moment you start using I statements and you're not directly reflecting back the emotions of the speaker, you are no longer helping their prefrontal cortex process the emotional information.
Right. And what I just put up here is dougnoll.com/stop anger. So if you're having problems with a lot of angry people and harassment and bullying, there is an amazing webinar that you do, and they can get the webinar at dougnoll.com/stop anger. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Doug?
Yeah. So what I make my living doing lots of things, but doing a lot of teaching and also mediating and helping people resolve conflicts. But recently I've recognized that as I get older, I want to pass my skills on to other people.
Beautiful.
So what I'm doing now is I've got a high-end coaching practice, and people go through the webinar, and if the webinar resonates with them, they can book a call with me, and we'll talk. And if it's a good fit, then I will become their mentor and teach them in 8 weeks all of these deep skills. And there's a whole series of skills and a huge amount of knowledge that you absorb in 8 weeks on how to master angry, verbally aggressive, or arrogant people in your professional or business life. And my hope is that I'll form a cadre of people around the world who will get these skills, and they will become like little viruses, and they'll just spread it out.
Like
and
good
over
virus.
a good virus, and in a period of less than 3 or 4 or 5 years, if I can get enough people trained, we will see a dramatic shift in the anger in our culture. I have watched 15 men change the complete culture of a maximum security prison using these skills.
That's remarkable. That's remarkable. Because really, people aren't violent unless they're not being heard. I think
that's correct.
Right. We only act out when we're not being heard. We feel dissatisfied when we're not being seen, when we feel like we're not enough. If we understand that there's something below it, then we're able to tackle it in a way that's more compassionate. So they can sign up for your webinar at dougnoll.com/stop anger. So tell me the next question. So what else do you have anything else you want to share? Do you want me to around dealing with angry people, or do you want me to keep asking questions?
You can keep asking questions, or if you want me to show you how to do it, I can show you what it looks like. And everybody who's watching can watch how to do it. All right. So tell me a little story. Let's go back to that woman, Toastmasters woman, who was giving you a hard time. So just tell me a little bit more. Tell me a little bit more about that.
About how that came about?
No, it's just what she was saying and how you responded to it.
Oh, yeah. I was not in my power at that point. I did not respond very well. It was a few months ago. So essentially what happened is I was talking about whatever, and I was like, I'm really excited. I really love to work on the advanced level with speaking. These are the skills you need, And
so you were really you were really excited in that moment. You were really passionate about what you were talking about.
Doug, because
I know that, but you were really excited.
I was really excited. I'm like, and what I really love is because I really want people to drop into their body and just let go of the posing and the gesturing and the fake breaths and just really be who they are and unleash that true magnetism. And she's like, it was actually a guy at that point. And believe me, I've had multiple of these incidences. I just don't even talk about it anymore. It drives me crazy. But this person specifically was a guy, and he's like, well, you're totally wrong because I go to Toastmasters, and Toastmasters is the ultimate speaking training in the world. And I said, you were
a little startled.
Well, but I wasn't, but I hear this all the time, and I don't know what it is about Toastmasters to get very offended when people say it's not really advanced level speaking training. I always get arguments, and I just don't even talk. I won't even say it anymore, except I'm saying it now in this conversation.
So you were feeling a little frustrated because you were hearing this argument again,
yes, right?
And you were feeling attacked,
right? And the thing is, on the one hand, I don't need to be right. On the other hand, if you're not getting paid to speak and you've been doing this for a few years, that's your evidence that it doesn't work.
So you were getting really frustrated.
I'm totally getting defensive.
Well, you were getting frustrated and annoyed because these.
Well, more than anything, I just really want, my deep passion for the speaking world. I want better speakers in the world, and I'm very deeply concerned about the quality of people. Let me change that. Everyone's valuable and amazing, but I'm deeply concerned about what people consider to be professional speaking training.
So you're really passionate about making sure that people get professional speaking training.
Right. And that they present themselves in the best way possible. And
that's right.
Frustration is that I've had 20 years of training people. And for years, I have people who've trained a lot with Toastmasters, and I have to undo all kinds of crazy bad habits they have.
So you see a lot of. Yeah, you see a lot of problems.
I love how you're doing this with me because I'm
a lot of problems with. You see a lot of problems with Toastmasters, and it frustrates you because you have to undo all the bad stuff that people learn. Right. And it's deceptive in a way, and it drives you crazy.
And it drives you crazy. He's totally doing science. What did you call this thing? I love it.
Affect labeling. Notice that all I did. Whoop. I lost your sound. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I'm holding on. There we go. Oh, there you are. So look what I did. The only response I gave you was one, a you statement.
Right.
And two, I was reflecting back what I thought your emotional experience was in the moment.
Perfect. I love it.
And
So
how did you feel? Even though I was interrupting you, what was that experience like?
I was like, finally, somebody's freaking hearing me. And that's the thing is, I think at the end of the day, if somebody is a bully, if somebody is angry, it's because they're not being heard. And they just want to be heard.
I want to make a really important point here. People watching this watched me interrupt, and they have the thought that is the rudest, most impertinent thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's funny.
And your experience was, finally, somebody's listening to me. And here's why. And this is what people have to get with this, is that when you are listening, you are not having a conversation. You are listening. And that is a very different skill than conversing. When we converse, we have rules around when not interrupting. When we're listening, we can interrupt whenever we want, as long as we use a you statement and reflect back a feeling.
Right.
And the person who is being listened to, the speaker, will have this deep empathic experience, and you can interrupt as much as you want within reason, and that person will just eat it up. So even though it looks weird, it's very, very powerful.
No, that's really powerful, because at the core of this, people are being heard, and
that's right.
We don't tend to listen. That's the thing, is we're always in the fixing mode, always in the defending mode, and there's nothing really in between, and that's where the problem is.
That's right. And so I was just going to say, my mantra in all of conflict resolution, of any kind of conflict, two steps, de-escalate first, then problem solve. Do not try to problem solve or give advice until you have de-escalated first.
Brilliant.
And the only way you de-escalate is by affect labeling, listening to the emotions and reflecting them back.
Amazing. So what I want to do is let everybody know where they can find you, because you're brilliant. So your website is dougnoll.com. Now, Doug is one of our speakers here at Speaker Stardom. He's a fantastic, amazing, powerful speaker. You can book him through us at speakerstardom.com/Doug Noll. /Doug-Noll, sorry. Speakerstardom.com/Doug-Noll. And if you want to go more in depth, then be sure to sign up for his webinar all about how to deal with angry people, dougnoll.com/stop anger. And if you want to learn more about our booking agency, speakerstardom.com. And Cindy Uncorked, my TV show, is all about talking about provocative topics like this one. So if you want more provocative topics, go to cindyuncorked.com. And there you have it. Doug, any final words for us? You've been absolutely freaking fantastic. And I love that this was so interactive and that you really gave us an example of how this works. It was brilliant.
I just love this. We need to do this again.
We're going to do this again. I want to talk about sexual harassment with you next time, because that's a big one. Dealing with sexual harassment in the workplace. That's a topic.
That's a tough one.
That's going to be an hour-long one.
Oh yeah, that's
full. You with Nancy Osborne, actually, the woman I was telling you that worked in the UN and with the military and had to go toe-to-toe with the guy who was in charge of the genocide in Sudan.
Oh.
Yeah, she survived it. She didn't get herself killed. She ended up accidentally in their camp. It's a whole crazy story. So I think I want to actually do a 3-way for the sexual harassment with you and her.
Oh, that'd be fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would be a very long and lively.
Yeah, that's a really tough subject.
It is a tough subject. It's going to need lots of TLC. So
right.
All right. Exactly. Any last words before we go?
No, thank you so much. As always, it's lovely being in your incredible presence. Your energy flows out into the universe in the most gorgeous and beautiful ways. So thank you for all you do.
Many blessings. And thank you for everyone for tuning in.